Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Ganbia University, Jaipur. And today we'll be continuing with our topics of law of demand. In today's video lecture, we'll be focusing on two very important points, that is, why this law of demand slopes downwards and what are the exceptions to the law. But before that, we will have a quick recap on what is law of demand and what are the assumptions of the law. So the law of demand states that other things being equal or constant, if the prices of a commodity increases, the quantity demand decreases. If a prices of a commodity decreases, quantity demand increases. So let's take an example and understand this point. Let us assume that if the price of, let's say, commodity X was 10 rupees per unit and the quantity demanded at this price level was 100 units. So if the prices increases to 12 rupees per unit, as per the law, the ratio of the quantity demanded will decrease, right? So there might be a probability that it will be 80 units. And if the prices decreases, let's say 8 rupees per unit, then the quantity demand will increase, and let's assume that it might increase to 120 units. So there is always an inverse relationship with the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded of a commodity when other factors are constant, right? So let us just have a quick recap on what do we mean by the other factors. So the other factors can be your income of the customer, taste and preference of the customer, prices of the related goods, right? Climatical changes. These all and many more can be the other factors which might be affecting the quantity demand of our product X. So law of demand actually states that when we assume that these all the other factors, right, they are constant, that means that there is no change in the other factors which influence the quantity demand. And you can see that the quantity demand increases or decreases, that will be only because of the prices. If there is a movement in the price, then definitely your quantity demand will also be affected, right? So this is what is law of demand. Let's just read the definition. Law of demand states that other factors being constant, which means iterables, prices and quantity demand of a good and services are inversely related to each other. When the prices of a product increases, the quantity demanded or the demand for the same product will fall. Definitely you will not like to buy a product which is more expensive for you, right? You will like to buy a product which is under your budget, right? You always have heard that your parents might be saying that we are having a budget and we have to work according to that, right? You cannot demand for a new mobile phone when you have it 1 month back, right? So this means that there are many other factors which affects the demand. But when we study the law of demand, we say these all factor, the income, the budget planning and everything are constant, and we are just focusing on two variables, that is the quantity demand and your price, and we study the relationship between these two, right? And we say that there exists an inverse relationship. If one increases, another will fall, and if one decreases, the first one or the another one will increase, right? So now let us just see few of the definitions. So I have shared three of the very important definition. The one of the very famous one is of Alfred Marshall. So let us just have a look on the one definition. That is, the Alfred Marshall says that the amount demanded increases with a fall in price, diminishes with rise in prices. So what do we mean by the diminishing? Diminishing means actually fall. There is actually a fall which is visible when the prices rises. Right? You might have always heard that your parents might be saying that abhi aloo saste hain, right? So let us just have one more kg of aloo, because you know the shell life of potatoes are longer in comparison to your cauliflower or other vegetables, right? So they buy it when the prices are low, right? And when the prices rises, many a time you have seen that your mothers don't like to cook a food which have an ingredient of onion, because the prices of an onion might be high. So they might like to cook the vegetables or the curry foods without onions, and this is how they balance their budget as well, right? So this nature of the quantity demand, which is dependent on the prices, is actually related to the psychology. It's actually related to the consumer behavior, and with the help of this we actually understand the consumer behavior also, that if the prices of a commodity will increase, or we are planning to increase it, right? So what will be the reactions of the customer? So law of demand actually help us in somewhere down the line to even evaluate these other points which are associated with the pricing strategy of a product. So now let us just understand and have a quick recap on the basic assumptions of the law of demand. So the first assumption which we will discuss is no change in income, right? So as I told you, just few minutes back, that income is one of the other factors which we are assuming that it will not change, right? And that is why no change in income is becoming one of the assumptions of our law of demand. In practically, this assumption is a bit difficult to exist, right? So you just imagine that you're working in an organization where you will not get any hike, right? There will be no increment. That is what it means, no change in income. So it is not possible, right? So that's why we are assuming that the income level of a customer will not change. And if the income will not change and still there is decrease or increase in the quantity demand, that means that there exists a factor of prices which is influencing your demand, right? So we say that there is a no change in income is one of the assumptions, because definitely if you will get promoted, you will get a hike in your salary, you will like to buy a luxury item, right? So income of a customer is one of the factors, a very important factor. So we assume that there is no change in income. Then the another thing which we are assuming in this law is that there is no change in size and proportion of the population. That means that if before I was having 20 customers, I will at present will also have 20, and then future also might be the 20 customers which will be there with me. I am not going to assume that my customer baseline will increase or the people will buy my product, right? I will be just focusing on those 20 customers. I will be assuming that no change in the size and composition of population, which is not possible. Population keeps on changing, right? So once the population changes, your quantity demanded or the customer lines also increases, right? So that is why we are saying that we assume in the law of demand that there is no change in the composition of the population size or the number of the customers. They all are same, constant. If I was having 50 customers, today also I will have 50 customers, and now I will check the quantity demand, right? Because my customers are not increasing, right? Because there is a probability, like before, if I was having 20 customers, I was having a total demand of 100. Now if the customers will increase to even 21, my demand will also increase, right? There will be no role of price at that very moment. So to study the role of the price and the quantity demand, we assume that other factors are all constant, are all same, there is no change in those things. The third assumption which we will take is that there is no change in price of related goods. That means that my competitors will not change their rates. Their product will be stated in that rate itself, right? They will not, change the price of their product. Even the complementary goods for my product, their prices will also not change. Substitute goods, their price will also not change. That will also be same, constant, right? So we assume that there is no change in the prices of related goods. Over here, I will like to inform you that the related goods can be further diversified or classified into two parts. One are your substitute goods and the another are your complementary goods, right? So the substitute goods means a product which can substitute your brand, right? So like the classic example is Pepsi and Coca-Cola. If you don't have Pepsi, you might go and buy the Coca-Cola, right? So they are substitute, they can substitute tea and coffee. And the complementary are that which helps to enhance the benefit or the enhance the utility of your product, like bread and butter, one of the very basic and the common example of the complementary. Your printer and the rim of papers, the A4 size sheets, the associated size sheets which we order. We don't order those printing sheets until and unless we have a printer, right? So if the prices of one gets changed, there will be effect in the quantity demand of the other good as well. And the another example which we can see is the prices effect on the petrol and the buying behavior of the automobiles, cars, or the bikes. There is always a relationship that if the prices increases, that then there is an impact which we have seen and observed in the sales of the automobile sector, right? So we assume that there is no changes in the prices of the related goods. Then the fourth very important and the basic assumption is that there will be no change in the customer's taste preferences, right? So actually the teenagers, the youth, they keep on trying the new product, their taste develops, they keeps on changing, they keep on exploring the new products, new brand, right? So we assume that there is no change in such behavior of a customer. If a customer was using product A, it will not explore the product B, right? They will not be attracted towards it, they will not have the change in the taste and preference. The general example which I give to the students while I discuss this point is that when you were a kid, you generally like to have a vanilla ice cream, or the girls might be having a favorite soft corner for their vanilla flavor, right, or the strawberry flavor. But as and when you grow and you enter into the teenagers, and right, or you enter into your youth, so you generally seeing the change in your taste, right? Instead of having a plain vanilla, you like to go and have chocolate flavors, or maybe the other bit strong flavors, right? So this change in the taste and preference affects the demand. Before I used to buy vanilla, but now I am buying only the butterscotch, right? So this change in quantity demand, because of the taste and preference of a customer has changed, we assume that there is no such thing, right? We assume that the customer have that same taste, we assume that the customer have that same preference towards that particular brand. It will not change, right? Because if the change and preferences changes, the shift in the customer line will be there. The composition of the population or the size of the customer will change. So we are assuming that there is no such drama in the entire understanding of the law of demand. Everything is same and constant. The fifth assumption is that there is no expectation of price change in future. So let me take a very classic example to teach you this point. Whenever there is such announcement that from tomorrow onwards the prices of the petrol will increase, right? Don't you feel that the people like to take the vehicles to the petrol pump and get it filled up, right? Even if they have to get it filled up for only 200 rupees, or they have a very less space in their tank, but still they like to fill it up. The demand at present, right, the demand at present of the product increases because there is going to be change in the future prices. So there is predictions which are also associated. Generally you have heard that people says that नहीं नहीं इसकी price गिर जाएगी अभी तो अभी मत खरीदो जब गिरे तब खरीदना, right? So we are doing what we are predicting. So we are doing what we are actually predicting the price, and according to that prediction we take the decision of buying at present, right? So if the prices in future will increase, you will like to buy more today because you will believe that I am in the beneficial I am in the benefit if I buy it right now, right? So you will buy it right now, you will like to have the consumption of that product right now, you will demand it right now. But if on the other hand in the future the prices will dip down, you will stop buying the product right now and you will say when the prices will be down I will buy at that time because I will be in profit at that situation, right? So consumer psyche changes if there is a change in the future price. So that's why we are assuming that there is no expected changes in the future related to the price of the product. And then we study the relationship between the price of a commodity and the quantity demand. The last assumption is no change in the climatic conditions. We assume that there is going to be no change in the climatic conditions because the climatic conditions affect the prices and the production level of our farm related products. So we assume that there is no change in the climatic condition, and then we study the law of demand. So now let us just focus on the topic for which this video lecture is being drafted, and that is that why does the law of demand slopes downward, or why more of goods is purchased when prices falls, or why less of good is purchased when price increases. So let's just try to understand the reasons which are associated with the concept that our law of demand curve slopes downward. So why is that so? Before that, let me just draw the demand curve so that we can have a quick recap of what is. This is our x-axis, this is the y-axis. The x-axis represents the quantity of our product and the y-axis depicts the price levels. So generally our law of demand is downward sloping, right? So why it is downward sloping? Let us find the answers. The first reason is because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. So in one of my video lectures, I have discussed what is law of diminishing marginal utility. So I request you to watch that video. And just to have a quick recap on what is law of diminishing marginal utility. So the law of diminishing marginal utility, or the law of DMU, states that if the consumption of a product keep on increasing, the extra utils or the extra benefit derived also diminishes. That is the marginal utility. Marginal means the extra, the additional. So unutility means the power of the satisfaction. So that satisfaction also keeps on decreasing if you keep on increasing the consumption of the particular product, right? So this law is one of the very basic factors which help us to understand that why our law of demand slopes downwards, right? So according to this law, as consumption of a commodity increases, as more and more of the glasses of cold drink you keep on consuming, the utilities, that means the satisfaction from each successive unit, goes on diminishing. That satisfaction keeps on reducing. You can see the diagram. So before, your satisfaction was this level, then on the second consumption unit it went down, and in the third it is very low, right? So it keeps on diminishing. Accordingly, for every additional unit to be purchased, the consumer is willing to pay less and less price, right? Why? Because he's not getting that satisfaction, he's not happy, so that is why he will not like to buy more, or he will not like to pay according to that, because he's not happy. So why you will pay? You generally don't pay to those services which does not satisfy you. The same reason, right? So you will not pay, or you will pay less if you keep on increasing the consumption of a particular product, because your marginal utility is diminishing, and there will be a point when it will be zero, and then it will go to the negative area as well. So that is why our law of demand also slopes downward. So the another reason that why our demand curve slopes downward is because of the income effect. So let us just take an example and then understand what is income effect. Let us just assume that there is a person A whose income is 100 rupees, right? And from this 100 rupees, he generally expend on the basic necessity, let's say 80 rupees, and he tries to save 20 rupees, right? And out of this 80 rupees, he generally buy, and out of this 80 rupees, let us just say that he buys a product X, right, of 20 rupees, right? So if the prices of this product will decrease, let's say to 18 rupees, right? So what will happen? There is saving of 2 rupees. And because of the saving of this 2 rupees, there is a probability that the customer might like to demand more, right? So that is why we are saying that because of the income effect, your law of demand slopes downward. Why? Because change in a price of a commodity causes change in real income of a customer. Your real income gets affected. And with the fall in the prices, the real income increases. Accordingly, demand also expands, right? So he will like to buy more because there is change in the price, and now he can buy 2 more units or 3 more units because there is a change in the price of that particular good. So this is income effect. So let us just recap what is income effect. Income effect refers to the change in demand when real income of a buyer changes as a result of the change in price of a commodity. So if the prices will go down, there will be an increase or expend in the real income, and when the income has increases, the demand will also increase, right? So this is one of the reasons why our demand curve slopes downwards. So now let us just understand the fourth reason, and which is size of a customer group. So when the prices decreases, new customers generally get attracted, right? And it happens when you have a good substitutors with you. right? Like the Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So let's just assume that the company Pepsi have reduced its prices. So the customers of the Coca-Cola will also like to buy the Pepsi, right? They might buy it because they are the competitors and they are like, kind of a substitute to each other, perfect substitute. If you don't have Pepsi, you might go for the Coca-Cola, right? If you are not that loyal customers, we are just assuming, right? So that happens because of the increase in the prices. New customers get attracted. Why? Because of the two reasons. Number one, there is a saving, right? Because definitely, let's say the product was rated at 10 rupees, now it is of 8 rupees, so there is a saving of 2 rupees. Every human being is assumed, or every customer is assumed to be irrational, and irrational people generally likes to save more. So they will definitely buy your product if the prices have reduced. And the second reason is that because there is a dip in prices, so those people who were not in that position to buy your product because of your price rate, they will get attracted and they will buy, because they were waiting for this moment and when the prices of that product will decrease and you buy. So let's take another example and understand. Let's assume that one of the latest model of the Apple phone, which was of, let's say, 50,000, is now reduced and it is of 35,000 only, right? So those people who were not in that category to afford a 50,000 mobile phone, but they were having a dream to buy an iPhone, right? They will definitely buy it. Why? Because they will be seeing that there is a dip and now I can afford it. They might take a EMI option, or they might, ask their friends to give them money. They will take the help of the others to buy the product, but they will try to become one of the customers because the prices have reduced, right? So there is always a increase in the quantity demand just because the prices have reduced. One of the reason is that the new customers get attracted towards your product. So the another reason why our demand curve slopes downward is the different uses associated with a product. So let's take an example of the milk. If the prices of the milk, it decreases, right? So the prices of the milk have reduced, the users will expand, and that is why the milk will be in more of demand. Why? Because milk can be converted into your cheese, your curd, your butter, your milkshakes, right? So there will be a increase in the consumption level because you can get the benefits of the other products which you can derive from the milk itself. So that is also one of the reason why the demand of such goods increases when the prices falls, right? So this is one of the another reason that why our demand curve is downward sloping. So let's just have a recap. What were the reasons? The first reason is because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. The second is because of the income effect, then the size of a customer group, and then your different uses. Now, let us just discuss all the exceptions to the law of demand. So there are basically 7 exceptions which I'm going to discuss in this video lecture. So the first exception to the law of demand is Giffen goods. So Giffen goods were actually, introduced by the Sir Robert Giffen. He said that they are those goods which are a special variety of inferior goods, right? So he categorized a variety into the category of inferior goods, and they are known as the Giffen goods. So actually, Sir Robert was observing one of the farmers, and he observed that people or the farmer was spending more of their income on the inferior goods like potato, and less part of his income towards to buy the meat, which is a supreme item in comparison to the potato. But the potatoes constitute as, and the potatoes were, one of the stable items for their food, for their daily diet. when the prices of the potato increased after purchasing potato, right? So the people, the farmer was not having that much amount of money to buy the meat. So instead of buying less quantity of meat, what he did, the amount with which he was left, he buy more of potato, right? So see, when the prices increased, then also he bought potato. So he stated that these items which are becoming a part of one's life, they are the stable food category items. They are given goods, because if the prices increases, still the customer or still the farmer was buying that item instead of buying less quantity of meat, which is a superior quality product. So Sir Giffen stated that if the prices of these inferior goods increases, then also there is increase in the demand, right? And this is totally opposite of what law of demand states, right? Because remember, law of demand was stating that if the prices increases, the quantity demand will decrease, it will dip down. But in the cases of these goods, the special variety of the inferior goods, which can be bajra, which can be potato, the prices increased, but the quantity demand also increased, because the farmer was not left with that much amount of money to buy even the small quantity of the meat, right? So this is one of the exceptions of law of demand, right? So what are Giffen goods? Giffen goods are the special varieties of inferior goods, and there is increase in the quantity demand even if the prices of these goods increases. The second category is your Veblen goods. So what do you mean by Veblen goods? Veblen goods are actually very expensive goods, right? They are of a better quality, and so people like to buy these. So Veblen goods are actually that goods. They are demanded more when the prices rises. There are few people nearby us who like to buy particular good when the prices of that good increases, because they believe that it is a status symbol. They give them different kind of a satisfaction to buy expensive goods, right? So studies suggest that the people get more satisfaction from receiving expensive goods, and these goods are known as your Veblen goods, right? So when you see any of the commodity having an increase in price and their demand is also increasing, understand it is because that product is a Veblen good. So your rare paintings, right? Especially when you go to the auction, the Veblen goods are visible. So one of the places where you can find the Veblen goods is the auction area. The paintings and the antiques, they become a part of your Veblen goods. The another exception is the consumption of the necessities, right? So there are very good quantity of items which you can state down, without which you cannot imagine your daily life, and they are what? They are your necessary items, right? And in modern life, there are few things which are nowadays considered into the necessary items. Before they were the luxury, but now they are the basic minimum required good to lead a peaceful life, a happy life. What are they? They might be a TV, they might be a refrigerator, right? Generally your mothers want to have a properly functioning, a good spacious refrigerator, because they need it in the kitchens, right? Proper TV, ACs are nowadays a basic necessity. So they are what? They are becoming a necessary item. And even if the prices of these item increases, the demand will also increase. People will buy these products, right? Because they believe that now it is like a status symbol to at least have a one four-wheeler with them, right? To have one refrigerator, to have at least one big screen TV. They are becoming a necessary items. So that is why they are exception to the law of demand, right? The another category is the ignorance. Many a time customer buys those products which are overpriced, and they buy it because of their ignorance, because they might not be knowing the actual price of that product, right? So I do hope that you are recalling that moment. It happens with many a time, right? One of my students shared one of this experience in which he said that he bought a product double the rate just because he was not knowing the exact price. And definitely he later on got a good punishment from his parents. But this happens. And this was because of his ignorance. He was not knowing the actual price of that product. So this is exception to our law of demand. So the consumers ignorance is another factor that at a time induces him to buy more of the commodity at a higher prices. This is especially so when the customer is haunted by the phobia that the high priced commodity is better in quality than a low priced commodity, right? So generally there are few people who like to buy a bit high rated product. It happens, you might be knowing few of your friends who do that, right? They like to buy a very pen which is bit more expensive. Instead of having a 5 rupees pen, they like to have a 10 rupee pen or a 20 rupee pen, because they believe the quality is defined with the amount which is there with of that product. So they buy that product because they are highly rated, and because they assume, they have that phobia that the high rate product is good in quality in comparison to the low rated product. But generally it doesn't matter when you are writing with a pen as a student, right? So it's just a pen, you have to use it. But there are few students who are there, they becomes exception to the law of demand. They try to buy more of an expensive item despite of the fact they know that the pen is overrated, but still they like to buy. So this is one of the exceptions to the law of demand. The another exception is your emergency situations, right? The situations like war, right? Like drought, like earthquake. These are the situation where the law of demand does not apply, right? Why? Because the prices, just shoot up like anything. So one of the example is that when there was flood in Kedarnath, right? So the prices of a Parle G biscuit, which was a 5 rupee packet, right, that was 500 rupees, right? They were selling that Parle G of 5 rupees at 500 just because of the fact that it was an emergency situation and people were buying it because they were not having any other options, right? So emergency situations are those situations in which law of demand does not apply. So the another exception is the changes in prices in near future, right? So if we see that the prices in the future will increase, you will like to buy more of product right now, right? Despite the fact that the price is what rated, but you know that the prices will rise up in future, so you will buy more right now. You will like to have a good quantity of stock, right? So this types of situation when the prices will rise or fall in future, the impact is seen in the quantity demanded at present, and it becomes an exception to the law. So the another exception of law of demand is change in fashion, right? So when there is a change in the fashion or the taste, the market and the quantity demanded, they get impact, right? So let's take an example that before there was a fashion when there was only a blue jeans or a black jeans, right? So people used to buy only blue and black. But when there was a new fashion or a trend in the market of white jeans, the people shifted, right? Even when the prices of that white jeans were double or triple, but because it was in a fashion, because all of your friends have it, you will buy that product. So this is exception to the law. Even when the prices is high, you will buy it just because to be in that group or because to be in that circle. You need it because there's a change in the fashion, there's a change in taste, and generally this change is seen in the fashion clothing industries, right? So when the fashion changes in the clothing industry, the people keep on changing their wardrobes, they keep on revising just like their portfolios. So this is one of the exceptions to the law of demand. So let us just have a quick recap on all the exceptions. The first one is your Giffen goods, then your Veblen goods, your necessary items, your ignorance, your emergency situations, your future changes in prices, then changes in the fashion. So let us just have a quick recap on all the topics which we have studied today with the help of an MCQ. So I have a set of 10 questions and we will be solving them. So let's solve the first two MCQ which are on your screen right now. The third and fourth MCQ. Fifth and sixth question. MCQ number 7 and 8. The last two MCQs on your screen. So now let's check how much you have scored out of 10. So these are the answers. Question number 1, the correct answer is option C. For question 2, the correct option is C. For question 3 also, the correct option is C. For question 4 also, the correct option is C. For question number 5, the correct answer is option A. Question number 6, answer is option B. Question number 7, it's C. For 8th, it's D. For question number 9th and 10th, the correct option is option B. So I do hope that you have scored a good 10 on 10 on the MCQ test right now. Please keep on solving these MCQs and revising the concept with the help of these videos and the MCQ questions, because they somewhere down the line help you out to have a confidence on a particular topic. Because when you solve the question, you have that satisfaction that yes, I have scored 10 on 10 on this topic. So before exam, I just have to need to just have a quick recap and I'm good to go. So please take the advantage of these MCQ questions and do hope that you have understood today's two important topic which we have discussed. That was why our law of demand slopes downward and what are the exceptions to the law of demand. So thank you everyone for watching this video lecture. Thank you and happy learning.